I was in a very dark place. Like I felt like I was living in a dystopian novel. The pain and the fatigue. So the chronic pain and chronic fatigue go hand in hand for me.
I saw it in reality.
Oh, you really saw it?
20 days on liquids. It was mainly beetroot juice and carrot juice. It was so easy for me. I wasn't losing weight.
I'd also like to talk about rollbacks because it's like God. It's like I am God and we are all God and we are all one. It's that feeling.
Holy Grail. Thank you,
Holy Grail. I love it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Grail. This is beautiful girl, woman, Holly Bittinger. She's my guest today, and we're gonna share with you some important information which you can use for yourself. But the main emphasis will be on story of Holly. I know this girl for 2 years or some. I know that she works at cybersecurity communication. I don't know what is that. But what is common between us is practicing Kundalini yoga, spiritual awakening, and this beautiful journey, which you also living through on my channel. So now I want to introduce you, Holly. Today we're like Holy Grail together.
Oh my gosh, Holy Grail. I love it.
Yeah,
I
black
love
and
it.
white, yin and yang.
Yes.
Holy Grail. So I'm super excited because I never heard a story of Holly in details, and she will colorfully describe whatever she wants to share with you. I don't know what exactly, so I give a speech to Holly. Thank you, Holly, for being with me today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here with you and to share with your students the progress that I've made with your courses, with your programs. And for those watching, Lisa did not solicit this discussion, by the way. I said, Lisa, I need to share what's been happening with me because of your programs with your students and your followers. So I love talking about these experiences, but I don't often have the opportunity because, as you know, there aren't very many people in our daily lives, well, maybe in yours, not in mine, that are very receptive to some of these ideas and concepts. So I'm really excited to share. And I've been studying with you now for, is it 2 years? I think it's 2 years, right?
I remember the first video you commented on the Kriya for getting rid of grief.
Yes.
Which saved you from fatigue.
Yes. And I'll tell you the story. Yes, exactly. So this was the summer of 2020, I believe it was. So it was right when the pandemic had hit. I'd just gotten this new job, which was really lucky because I would have been totally out of a job because I was working live events. So I was in a fortunate position, but then I didn't really have the technical background or skills or training to do this job. They were more or less a startup at a time. This was a cybersecurity company. I had no background in the industry. They hired me because of my speaking and communication skills. And as soon as I started, first of all, I felt like way over my head. My boss had no time to train me. He was really hard on me. And he made it very clear that I was on thin ice and I was at risk of losing my job. So I was kind of freaking out. And then at the same time, as was happening for a lot of people during this time, I started to become aware of some things going on in the world that I maybe wasn't ready to become aware of. A lot of darkness was surfacing around that time. I mean, still is to some degree, but I was in a very dark place. Like I felt like I was living in a dystopian novel because I saw so much darkness and I didn't have the light to balance it, you know? And so I think when you don't have that spiritual perspective to balance out all of the kind of chaotic things that are happening in the world, it can feel really overwhelming and really isolating. And so I went into this really dark place. And I had the experience before, and we can talk about this. This is maybe a separate discussion, but I'd had an experience of samadhi, and you could probably give a better explanation of what that is than I can. But my experience of it was just feeling connected to everything. Yeah. Like, it's like God, it's like, I am God and we are all God and we are all one. It's that feeling. And so I'd had that experience once spontaneously years prior. And I think because of that, it was like, I knew there was more, right? I knew there was more out there. And so I had been practicing yoga for 20 some years since I was a teenager.
Who is teacher here?
You were the first Kundalini yoga teacher that I really kind of stuck with. So I had dabbled in Kundalini yoga around this time. I'd experienced it and I knew it was powerful. And I heard that it can produce this awakening, it can produce samadhi and expanded states of consciousness. But I had just kind of started dabbling. And I think at the point when I found your channel, I had sort of explored every other major Kundalini yoga channel out there. And none of them fully clicked with me. They just didn't fully resonate. Something about your teaching style just really resonated. Let me backtrack for a second.
With Russian accent.
With the Russian, maybe it's the Russian accent. No, it's definitely not just the accent, although that adds to your charm for sure. But no, it's something about your balance of ancient esoteric knowledge with the Western modern biological perspective. So like the scientific, which although arguably I would say those are both just different scientific modalities, right? One is just ancient. But I love the way that you weave both of those in. And so you explain, the etheric and the auric body and the chakras, but then you're also explaining what's going on with the biochemistry and in the brain and with the biology. So that really appealed to my kind of left and right brained need for balance. And so anyway, back to how I found your channel, because at the time, I think you only had, I don't know, a few hundred followers. And I was really struggling. As I mentioned, I could barely get out of bed. I already was not up for the task of this job. And I was going to have to learn a lot in a very short period of time and to play catch up, right? And find some way to make this work. And I didn't know how to do it because I'm a creative person at heart. I didn't have a marketing background. I'm not technical at all. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I did some self-muscle testing. And that's also another discussion. But for those who are familiar with self-muscle testing, it's a practice you can do on yourself to discover blocked emotions. And what I found was grief. And I thought, grief, like I don't feel grief. I feel depressed. I feel apathetic. I feel unmotivated, but I couldn't feel grief. So, and then what I also got was I needed to do yoga. So I think I did a YouTube search for yoga grief. Those are my search terms. Really? And up popped your video. And I was like, who is this? I haven't seen this teacher before. And so I did the practice and it was very intense. And I had a huge emotional outburst and this outpouring of grief that I didn't even know was there. Who knows where it came from? Maybe it was ancestral. I don't know, but, there was a lot. And so after I did it, I think for 10 days total, but after 3 days, I remember I was able to go back to work. And not only was I able to go back to work, then suddenly like things started happening, right? So I stuck with the practice and, a new person had just joined onto the company and said, hey, why don't you make these weekly videos for our sales force to keep them up to date? Had I been in my previous state, I would have done it, but I would have kind of done like the bare minimum because I wouldn't have been able to put my soul and my creativity into it, right? But because I was in this new state and I had released so much, I was able to put all of my creative, flow and energy into it and make it into something really fun and entertaining and something that now is distributed globally across the entire company. It's a super successful program. We've spun off from that and made other programs, and it's really put me in a secure position with the company where now I feel like I don't have to worry about my job, and I feel like I'm bringing my creativity to my role, which is, I think, really hard to do, as I think any artist knows who's working a corporate job. It's really challenging to do that. And I really credit your classes with that. It wasn't just that particular class. That was what got me out of the state of grief. But I went on to do so many of your other practices on your channel. And that really helped get my creativity flowing. So I really credit that for allowing me to bring that into my work. And just the opportunities just kept flowing. So anyway, that's compressed the short story on how I found your channel and fell in love with your teaching.
Thank you. And can you, maybe I will kind of direct you in some way of conversation. Can you please tell more about chronic fatigue? Because I know many people struggle with depression and chronic fatigue.
Yes.
So what is that, or where it comes from, and how you struggled with this for your whole life?
Yes, my whole life. I mean, and I still haven't had the experience of waking up feeling well rested. And that even as a child, I always woke up exhausted. And so to answer that question, I think I'll fast forward a little bit to just recently, because even though I stuck with your practice for quite a while, it worked wonders. I even did a marathon with you, which was amazing. I had a great experience with that last year. Then I had a really rough move. I moved to Roanoke, Virginia, against all of my wishes. I was kind of forced to. and I had a really, really rough move. Our movers, they held our items hostage. They stole from us. They broke half our stuff. It was really stressful. Then we both got sick, my partner and I, and I had stopped practicing because of that. And I just didn't. And you'd think by then I would know, just stick with the practice, just stick with it. But I didn't. I stopped practicing. And I started to develop, and I kind of like fell out of contact with you because I was also, having some hard times financially, making ends meet because my partner was out of a job for a while. And so I kind of went back into a little bit of a depression. And of course, along with that comes the pain and the fatigue. So the chronic pain and chronic fatigue go hand in hand for me. And long story short, I ended up discovering that supposedly, right, I don't take diagnoses too seriously, but we talked about this. I have this genetic hereditary connective tissue disorder where my collagen doesn't form the way other people's does. It's called hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it kind of explained a lot of these lifelong symptoms I've had of chronic pain and fatigue. Some mornings I would wake up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. It was that bad. And it was for seemingly no reason. And so, you'd think I would just get back into the yoga practice, but what did I do? I went to a nutritionist. Not a traditional nutritionist, but a nutritionist who was very, aligned with my values when it came to holistic medicine and detoxing. And she knew about heavy metals, and which there's a connection with hypermobile EDS and heavy metal, right? So she knew that. She knew about autism. She was very knowledgeable. She knew about pyroluria, which is another disorder I was diagnosed with as a child. So anyway, I went to her for help, and she said, and you're going to laugh, but she said, you need to eat a lot more, and you particularly need to eat a lot of protein. And so I was like, all right, I am trying to gain some weight, so I'll try it. And so I did that. And not only did the pain and fatigue not improve, but I developed symptoms of bipolar disorder. So, which I'd experienced in the past. And I think we've talked about this. That's the label it was given, or I guess the new euphemism for it is a mood disorder. It wasn't like severe enough I needed to be hospitalized or anything like that, but it was pretty debilitating. I was experiencing these manic highs and these really low lows, and it just sent me on a roller coaster. And I thought, this is crazy. This just changing my diet, just eating more food. And I was eating clean food. Do you know what I mean? Organic, whole food.
It was animal protein or plant?
Very little, mostly plant. I mean, I was eating a little bit of chicken like once every 2 weeks, but it was just the amount. And I was eating some eggs. So actually, yeah, maybe had it been all plant-based, this wouldn't have happened. I don't know. I was eating dairy at the time as well. And now I eat very little dairy. And I do think that was a big culprit. But just that amount of food, whether it was the amount of food or the amount of protein, it just totally messed me up. So it just reminded me of, what you'd been teaching about on your channel about your pranic journey and breatharianism. So I came back again and I'm like, Lisa, help. At this point I had done, a marathon with you. I bought
personal Kriya. I remember
personal Kriya, which I love my personal Kriya. What else had I done? Oh, I had started the herbal cleansing, but I never finished it because I had so many intense cravings that I was like, well, what's the point? I'm just going to keep eating all this food. And
at the beginning of herbal cleansing, parasites have protest, and they have the ultimate feast, and the craving, it can be even stronger.
They were definitely protesting.
And after that, they are dying and leaving body, saying goodbye. We don't need anything to do here anymore.
And I do believe I reached that point with I ended up restarting the herbal cleansing during our recent marathon. And I had a totally, and this is why I wanted to do this discussion with you, is I felt like I had a breakthrough, because halfway through this recent 40-day marathon with you, and first of all, it was just uncanny how every morning, and I wouldn't look ahead of the schedule, I just went day by day, but I would wake up and I would be like, oh man, I really need like a Kriya for, digestion, or for, I feel like I need heart expansion today, or whatever it was, would be the next thing on the schedule without fail. And I'm like, how did she do it? Like, how does she know that? So
It's prophecy.
I totally believe it's prophecy. I mean, I know you use a combination of, like, you're using human design, right? Which is super cool that you use human design.
On first marathon, I was using the second. I remember your type. You also manifesting generator as me.
Yep.
And I was moving accordingly to the goals you set. You indicated some problems with body and mental things, and I built the program accordingly. So the first part this, and then and smoothly to more difficult exercises and so on.
Do you get like a download of like what should go in the program, or are you doing it more kind of from a logical, or is it both?
I'm trying with logic, and then spontaneously I have, this one will be after this one and this one. It's like a creative and both logical process.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. So it's brilliant. And I had a great time with the process. And in the middle of it, my partner actually left on a work retreat. And so I was alone. And so there was no, and I wasn't really socializing at the time. And, I had the opportunity to kind of go inward with it, with the practice. And I reached a point where I was sleeping like 3 hours a night. I remember at one point I had slept 3 hours a night for 5 days in a row. And I had been fasting, completely fasting with maybe a little bit of water, but very little liquid even, for 2 days. And I went on a hike that is supposed to be, it's pretty hilly too. It's called McAfee Knob. It's a really beautiful hiking trail we have here. And it's supposed to be 4.5 hours. And I hiked it in like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Now that should not be possible. According to the laws of biology and, you know what I mean? Calories in, calories out. I shouldn't have been able to hike that 4.5 hour hike in 2 hours and 15 minutes with no food, no water, no sleep. I mean, and I had boundless energy. And I remember, I don't know if it was that day or the next day, that I had another experience of what I would describe, maybe not the same as the one I had prior, but an expanded consciousness, a samadhi-like experience where I just felt bliss and joy and connected to everything. I was dancing in my kitchen to a recording of Gobinde Mukande. I was just like, oh my God, is this what we're supposed to feel like? And I feel like this all the time, And I was like, who do I tell about this? I mean, it was so cool, but it was important, I think, that I had that time to myself, and so that was a blessing. And it's more or less continued like that. Like, I'm still sleeping only about, last night I slept like an hour and a half. I don't know. Like, sometimes I'll take a nap later in the day. Some nights I'll sleep more. I mean, it kind of ebbs and flows, right? And that's the other thing I want to talk to you about, is this kind of like, I don't know how it is for you, but for me, it's like a little bit like this, but it's not, it's very different from bipolar, like what we think of as bipolar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not unbalanced. Like, the states of bliss are not like, it's not mania. It's such a different feeling.
Euphoria.
Definitely. Yeah, it's very different. And then when it dips, it's not in dipping depression. It's just kind of like back to baseline. But now even my baseline is higher. And then no more pain, right? I have virtually no pain. My menstrual cycle has been regulated. I have virtually no pain at all with my menstrual cycle. I have so much more energy. I'm requiring like a third the amount of sleep. And I'm requiring about a third the amount of food that I did in the past. And I'm not losing weight. which I'm sure for someone doing this, practicing this lifestyle who needed to lose weight, they probably would, right? Obviously I don't need to. And that was my fear, that I would.
Mine too.
Yours too. We've talked about it.
Like anorexic.
I don't want to look anorexic, and I don't want people to accuse me of having an eating disorder.
Some stage we losing weight, it's we cannot escape this stage. When we lose, we will balance this, but definitely body will be in the shape it should be naturally.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because I don't know, maybe I'll gain a little bit of weight. That would be okay with me. But amazing. It doesn't make sense, right? According to biology and science and Western medicine, I cannot eat 500-600 calories a day for what it's been like 3 weeks now, at least maybe a month. I've been eating this way and not lose weight and be doing tons of yoga and going to bar classes and dance classes and hiking, going on intense hikes and not losing weight. That's not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to be possible. So it's just, I believed you. So this is the thing. I believed you that this was possible, but it's one thing to believe something cognitively. It's another thing to experience it, and bring that experience into your body and your soul. So anyway, I'd also like to talk about rollbacks, because because I did have towards the end of my program a bit of a rollback, and here's why. And I'm not upset about it, and I have no remorse or guilt about it, but I made some new friends, which I think is partially probably due to having this new vibrational state. I was attracting new people into my life. I really wanted and needed friends. I was having a really hard time connecting with people in this town. I felt like such an outsider. And then finally, I had some people that I really connected with. That meant, of course, I was going out, I was socializing. And then in an effort to be in the same state as them, I'm eating, I'm drinking more than I would normally. I wasn't drinking at all. And now suddenly I'm drinking alcohol. So, and then I would notice the next day I would be in a lot of pain. So anyway, I did that on a couple of occasions, and it was amazing. It was like just doing that for like one night of going out, eating, drinking. I just felt like crap the next day. I mean, I'm not going to say I regret it, because it's all part of my process, I think. But it is tough for me. I think the hardest thing for me, Lisa, is the social part, because I'm such a social person and I want to connect with people. But then I have this fear. Like, I don't talk about this to anyone. How do I explain to people that I'm on this like pranic journey, right? I mean, I started dabbling in this many months ago, but it's really just been this past month that it started to click. And I'm just like, I don't know who I can tell about this, because they're going to say I have an eating disorder.
Eating disorder and mental disorder as well.
Right.
If you asking me this question, what I think about rollbacks and socializing without food and so on. Yeah. My YouTube channel is like my home. I know that not all people accept this idea, but after my last talk, I received a lot of comments like, I also want to shift to at least lighter forms of nutrition. I feel like my body is slacked. Some people applied for herbal cleanse, and someone didn't when they knew about the price. But the price 300 is, I think,
that's very reasonable price.
Reasonable for this journey, which will help you to get rid of at least cravings, slack body, and restore your organs. But the more I'm going, as Holly, you said, each rollback, your karma beats you twice. So the more cleaner body I have, the less sleep I have. If I eat something which is heavy for me, though for some people it's nothing without calories, for instance, avocado. What is avocado? Yes, it has fats, but not enough calories for normal person. But for me, I got stomach fat after avocado eating. So my body was getting bigger and bigger, and I was like,
just from avocado.
From avocado, yeah. Wild. Because my body doesn't need anything at this point, but my psyche is another thing, social thing, another. And I was allowing myself these rollbacks, and each time my body was like wooden. In the morning, I couldn't stretch. The more I sleep, the less flexible am I. I cannot do plow pose easily in the morning if I slept. And sometimes psyche is screaming like, oh my God, where you going? How you will be living? Joy won't be existing in your life anymore if you will get rid of food and all these things people love together sharing. And you know what it reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of Alan Carr, Easy Way to Quit Smoking. He always speaks of creed, and that you think that if you give up smoking, you will get rid of joy, and your life will end after this. But we have so great perception, which is a gift, which is like our how can reward for our suffering. Let's say. So yeah, we get rid of very large thing of our life we were eating since childhood, and like reward, you can obtain these states of consciousness, which are, by my personal experience, I cannot hold for a long time if I sleep and eat, unfortunately. I know that some masters, Holly, you experience samadhi, you know what it is, you can explain this kind of bliss, and all masters who are speaking, they can endlessly describe the state of mind that you need to detach from your programs, from your persona. There won't be suffering as far as you see your suffering, but you cannot hold this state. You can speak about your previous experiences. I know some masters reach nirvikalpa samadhi, which is ultimate samadhi, when the state never goes anywhere. Maybe they are lucky, they are blessed or something, but I could not stabilize in 5D more than 40 hours in a row. 40 hours in a row, I was in this condition. I was a whole space. Thoughts were on background. I was perceiving myself with love for everything. I didn't need anything. No sleep, nothing. I was just communicating with people, recording something, and there was no even commenting on what is going on. Body itself was speaking. And it was so beautiful. It was such a great relief. And I realized that we live in thoughts, and all our energy is spent on thoughts, actually. When we are going through spiritual journey, we little bit make our mind more light, not so overwhelmed with thoughts, that we can perceive the reality how it is, how it's beautiful as it is, without anything. We have nothing to blur this pure perception. But food, unfortunately, makes us more grounded and capture those layers, vibrational layers, as I see, of reality, which are more low. It's not bad. Also, some people, all people live like this. But that's why they have emotional swings, I can guess. Hormonal system.
Yeah. It's interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Tear of organs as well.
Right.
So to like conclude, socializing or not, I made decision recently. May I share my experience?
Please, yes.
I had 20 days on liquids. It was mainly beetroot juice and carrot juice. It was so easy for me. I wasn't losing weight. After bike ride, I was gaining weight. I was measuring my weight all the time because I'm paranoid a little bit about this. Still, though I reprogrammed my brain out of conception of losing weight, but I was afraid, and I was checking because I have research. I don't have a goal to achieve something, but I'm on research. And I calmed down, like, okay, I'm not losing weight, we're going next. But something happened. I don't know what was it. And it was like the big black hole again in my chest, another layer of some subconscious mental emotions or suffering. And at the same time, you know what I was living through these days. I lost job, relationships, right, all in all at one time. Like boom, boom, boom. It was like total fuck up. And after that, I was experiencing again and again life like beating me again. And it was so hard to like keep this balance and to detach from all emotions, but I needed to lead them through. And at the 15th day of 16th, I began fluctuating again. And I was saying, no, 3D. I was so high. And then again to 3D, this normal perception. And then I was so suffering that I literally screamed and cried. And on 21st day, I just started to eat again. It lasted for 1 day or 1.5 days. I ate again avocado, something which I wanted, but I didn't want so much. I just wanted to stuff my face with something, to be honest, to calm down. And I calmed down right away. When we eat, we calm down.
Yeah.
Because it will never betray you. Your partner, not your partner, someone's partner can betray. We can lose job, but food will never betray us. We can easily go to grocery, buy something, and little bit have this anesthesia to feel no pain. But the pain will come to the surface anyways. This is like process, and we have a lot of things inside. So I made a decision after this experience. Now it's my first dry day because I don't want to even drink water or even liquids. I want to have this high state. I will be balancing myself, and I'm not like, I don't want to torture myself as well. I know this is the process. You may make one step with your body, one step with your psyche, and then you go with rollbacks, and then smoothly you go further. Looking back 1 year ago, it was a different level. So I decided, I know social world. I really want to communicate. I love people. I love to share and so on. But for myself, I've chosen this maybe a little bit hermit lifestyle by now to stabilize. I cannot speak in society freely because I'm not breatharian still, but I know I will be one day.
You are, though, because aren't there stages? Like, aren't we at the stage of it? Like,
I will be sharing on YouTube and with people who is interested only. And who is going after me? One girl contacted me. She's on liquids since January. She also shared her experience. We exchanged. Another girl is on herbal cleansing now. Hi, Chelsea. And she also has some goals to little bit upgrade her nutrition. She's a vegan, but she feels the person at some stage with the development of consciousness feels that body is rejecting food. It's too heavy, and you cannot explain this to any people you meet at restaurant, never. And so I'm not telling about this. I won't be, because it annoys people. They want to enjoy, and if they are satisfied with their life and the consequences of consumption of food, it's okay. They're going to doctors, they take pills. I don't want. I know how much energy we have and how much potential and creative energy when we less sleeping, for instance. So I chosen my way, and I will be smoothly go further, and I will fight all demons on my way. I'm ready. Like, it's like the warrior, the path of warrior, really.
I love it. Yeah, I'd love to reach a point where I can feel okay with being around people who are eating and drinking in ways that I don't want to, and just be okay with it. Right. And I think it's hard because the food, the alcohol has a vibrational quality. And so if you're not taking part, it's almost like you're in a different space. And then how do you relate? Right. And so it's like, in an effort to be in that same space. Do you know what I mean? It's also hard, like, how you can't, as you mentioned, you can't just explain to people, and you don't want to ruin their meal and their appetite by just saying, yeah, I don't eat much because I'm a breatharian. I just breathe prana from the universe. Like, that conversation's not going to go well. So
I'm connected to cosmic boundless energy.
Yeah.
I raised my Kundalini, and now I'm free. And you, bastard, keep on stuffing your face.
Yeah, that will make people very angry, I think. So, but
sure.
You know,
I want to convey all ideas, all knowledge I have to as much more people, to help myself. As with Kundalini Yoga, it helped me with depression. And now I moved further to another grade, to another level, to university from school. And I need more people like me, how I can connect with them. by the interest. And if there will be more people, I hope not fanatic people, because it's also the wrong way. But who will be supporting me, I will be sharing with them and so on. And I believe in 100 years, not earlier, we will face this kind of, it's normal lifestyle as now raw veganism, for instance, or something which I don't want this scenario for our planet, will happen the major starvation or something, that people will have to adapt to new conditions of living and to evolve with their consciousness and realize that this food eating program was only program.
Right.
I see it like this because I cannot explain from medical point of view what happens to my body.
Right.
I can explain from those who were investigating their bodies after 8 years of not eating, not drinking. We have such a person in Russia.
Right. Because I think once you start on this journey, it's almost like, for me, it's like once I passed that first barrier, I felt like, okay, whatever's going on in my system, it's no longer adhering to like the laws of 3D. I don't know. Not that I'm not like entirely there, obviously. And I think, will I get there eventually in this lifetime? Perhaps. I'm not in a rush to get there, but I want to enjoy the journey is the other thing, like while I'm living in this 3D world, I want to enjoy food and sex and friends and, anyway, I guess your approach is I think what you said is you're looking to network with and make friends with other like-minded people who are on the same journey. Is that kind of your approach?
Yeah, I have many guys in Russia, but in America, not so much. I know that there are people who are like supposed to be awakened, but still consume everything. I don't know how it happens to them, but I can suppose it is. But for me, it's like the more high you raise consciousness, the less
you require,
because your body is like the light itself, the energy itself. You like cannot. But I'm interested also in some kind of things like manifestations, ruling your reality. You know what I also noticed? That karma instantly works. If people who are, let's say, figuratively sleeping, they have this consequence from their actions prolonged in time, like echo, somewhere far. But if we are clean, we like processing all information, all currents, all energies very fast. And also we are accelerating the flow of our events in life with sleep deprivations.
So the karma comes right away. Do you have like an example of that? Like,
oh, of course I had. For instance, I was sleep deprived. I was super high at my job, but I was sitting at 5 a.m. thinking, Lisa, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You can gain money out of your knowledge, at least, or your talent. Just go and show it or communicate more with people. And my victim was like, no, but it's not stable, blah, 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 blah. And then ring, telephone rang. And what happened, I shared with guys, and it was telephone scamming, after which I was hypnotized and I decided to quit my job the very day. So it's acceleration. But event, and after that,
manifested it. It was like, all right, you didn't know what you were going to manifest, but
it was crazy day up to that. I was scared, to be honest. Then I in a couple of days I was still in these strange vibrations and very strange energies. At the same time, I was very high with my consciousness. I was in 5D, let's say so. But in front of my eyes, I saw the car wreck. Like it just slided on the side. And I don't know, maybe someone even was killed in this car wreck. I was so afraid. I was like talking to my friend, like, Kate, what's going on with my doctor? I was talking like, Kate, oh my God, his apocalypse started.
You saw it like in your mind's eye.
I saw it in reality.
Oh, you really saw it?
Okay. I was walking and speaking with my friend, and I saw this car wreck. I was so freaked out with this. I said, okay, what what I want to say to myself, because it's only projection of my mind, right? It's only I created this. I have no illusions that we are not creating our reality. Whether we realize it or not, we are creating each second, each event, each dialogue. So I was saying, okay, what's next? So you need some drastic changes. Yes. Okay, not don't beat me anymore. I saw it, like, in the silly movies, sometimes they show like, God, give me a sign, and then all of a sudden something happens. And then after a week, relationships. Also, I don't want to share so much. It's like, it's not my ethics, not moral principles of mine. But to cut a long story short, it was like sign, intuition. And then I was guided by something inside me. I made some actions and I found out some information, and then breakage. Because it was so unpredictable, unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, do you really think, though, that you created the accident with your thoughts, or is it more that you manifested being there in that moment to witness it? Right.
I would say that nothing is real. Nothing is real. Strawberry fields.
Okay.
Nothing
I
is
don't think
real.
I'm quite at that perspective, at least not yet. But
I think you will agree, in these states when you're super high, and the picture itself of reality is some kind of not artificial, but it's not like we used to perceive. It's like a hologram or some film which you're observing. That's why
I've had this
I don't know
experience.
if the wreck existed or not, or someone died or not. For me, it's all like artificial thing. To be honest, I'm going to such perception when it's very hard to obtain this information with our normal logical brain. So I don't want to like share right now, but I will surely share somewhere when I will understand the whole picture, how it works, why it perceived like this, and so on. Because for someone, our information will be like they're going nuts or something. But I would say I'm more adequate, I'm more even logical and grounded, and I'm not in delusion when I'm not in consumption.
Okay, grounded, because you said that before, but you used it in a different context. But I wanted to speak to this concept of being grounded, because this is something I've struggled with, right? If you're in a manic state, you're not grounded. And I did have to wonder, because you had, and I was trying to parse what you were saying earlier. You were essentially, I think you were saying your body was ready to live without food, essentially, to be a full-on breatharian, but your psyche was not. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was so painful in my psyche.
Right. And so this is what I wonder is, when I started on this journey and I kind of like, I don't know exactly what it looks like, right? But it's like these steps or something. I almost wonder if, like, maybe this is a crazy idea, but did I manifest these new friends into my life, which ended up resulting in me kind of having a rollback, you would call it, right? But essentially the long of the short of it was, I was eating more, and I was, drinking alcohol, and I was kind of like tempering that kind of effect that I had created. Did I manifest that on purpose in some way in order to keep me grounded? Almost like those friends came into my life,
but to realize something.
Okay. Like, I almost feel like they came into my life partially to keep me from like floating away into some sort of space that I don't know where I am anymore.
What I also think, when we are on transition, we are one step in this reality, one step in another. And at this moment, it's very, very, it's like vitally necessary to surround you with people who at least understand you. They might not be practitioners, they even have no goals to skip eating. It's like choice.
But at least they,
Surely they
understand
should
and
understand
respect
and
the,
not drag you down.
yeah.
Because
No,
I
and I
was,
don't think that's the case
you
here.
know what, I will tell you, I was inside 3D absolutely, but super high. Someone with someone I wanted to share, but then then I heard that they think that I'm a little bit crazy. But I was like normal, blah blah blah, about some clothes, about my country where I'm from, about music or something, and we had common language with those people who was smoking weed, because they also understand how it is to get rid of your sick mind and to be more like calm down at least, or a little bit expand their perception, and to get rid of memory, because on the weed I know that people are in the moment somehow, or if they take mushrooms
You can
with
be, but you can also be kind of getting ahead of
tripping, or
yourself. And yeah, it's,
yeah, I'm not supporting all these things. It's like mushrooms is a crutches to open the space to show
Mhm.
you, and then it's like guiders. Weed I completely I think it's drug. In America they all smoke it, but I'm not supporting this. So
Do you think it's worse than alcohol?
not
No,
alcohol is worse.
alcohol is worse. I agree.
Even worse. Yes, absolutely. It's a chemical which is ruins our brain and the body and liver and all our organs. It's like poison, the pure poison. Um, Weed is less, but I was in the picture, I was enjoying, and I didn't care where I am, what they eat, what they smoke. I was just talking to people, and I thought that this is okay and I can keep on living like this. But there were many moments when I felt that I'm not at the place I used to be. I'm at the wrong place. They are influencing. If you have sexual intercourse with a person who is consuming something, using something, it's like
Yeah,
it
total
affects
mismatch.
you.
It's like,
It affects you.
yeah,
Definitely. Among people in public, in society, you can, surely. They are in between us. You never know who is who. They look like normal person.
right.
You will never know who is eating, not eating. It doesn't matter. You still communicate and it's cool. But in the close community, it's better to have friends who will support you and understand you.
Mm-hmm.
This is
I
the
agree.
main idea.
I agree with that. I don't know if I fully agree with you on marijuana. I think that there are ways to use these plant medicines consciously, but there's the risk of dependency, right?
Oh, yeah.
And misuse. And also a lot of them are hybridized and they're grown with chemicals. So I think it's really hard to get, like you would almost have to grow it yourself and use it very like consciously. Like when I use it with an intention, and it's with a
It's
conscious
different, like
intention.
mushrooms.
Yeah,
Mushrooms are not causing craving, as far as I know.
right. Alcohol, it's one of those things. It's like, I don't need it. I don't crave it. It's purely, I mean, I hate to say it's not peer pressure. No one's pressuring me, but it's wanting to be on the same page as people in a social situation. And it's like, it makes you feel loose and it makes it feel like it's easier to connect with people, but really it's like an illusion, right? But yeah, that's a tough one. Like I said, it's just the socializing part that's tough. And I had one other thought. What was it? Oh, one thing I didn't mention. I think, did we talk about cravings at all? Because I was having
No, we
intense.
didn't.
So my big addictions, this was actually key. I want to mention this. This was key to that 40-day journey. In the middle of it, you have the weight loss courses. Obviously, for me, it wasn't to lose weight, it was to detox, but same purpose. Weight
Mhm.
loss detox, and anyway, one of them had the Sata Nama addiction meditation. And so I did that only for 3 minutes twice a day for, I think it
It's
was
this one.
yes, for 4 days. Um,
No. Mhm.
yes, with it clenching. And so I did that. And that I feel like is when things started to click. Along with, of course, the Kriyas, it was all working together synergistically. But that is when my cravings for sugar, and coffee, sugar and caffeine. Those were my two main addictions. And I was eating late at night, and that went away. And the herbal cleansing along, helps along with that. But that meditation, I felt like was really key. That is a powerful meditation, and you don't even need to do it for the full 11 minutes. Yeah. And here's the irony. It's funny because it's like, I have this fear that if I explain to people that I'm, living this like chronic lifestyle and I don't eat nearly as much as I used to, and I barely drink water, and this sounds crazy to people, right? That they'll say I'm anorexic, I have an eating disorder. But here's the irony. I had an eating disorder. I still looked like this, but I had an eating disorder. I was a binge eater, and I would binge eat in the evening because I didn't want to feel emotions that were coming up. Right. And that was and I didn't even know, it wasn't even conscious. And then one day I was like, oh, there's that feeling again. And now here I am reaching for, the box of crackers or whatever it was, or it would be like cookies or ice cream or, didn't matter. But I would just binge, and I didn't gain weight because that's just not my constitution. But and that should have been a clue, right? If I can binge and not gain weight, then I should also be able to stop all of that and not lose weight. So
yeah, food doesn't depend on weight so much.
No, it's bizarre. And that really finally clicked for me. Like, I really kind of bought into the narrative that, weight is about how many calories you consume and how many calories you burn. And it really has nothing to do with that.
Nothing. Yes.
It has to do with I think I hate to say how clean we are, but, and I am genetically poor detoxifier. So I've struggled my whole life with eliminating toxins. And I was very sick as a child, struggled a lot. They didn't expect me to make it, really. Not that I would die, but they thought I would live in an institution, medicated for life. And, it was a detox protocol that got me well. So I know how critical that is. And it's just, it's night and day. Like, it's night and day having started on this journey and cleansed myself enough. And I'm sure there's plenty more I have to do. And it's a constant maintenance because we're constantly exposed to a barrage of toxins all the time. But the other thing is, I think doing all of the meditations for the aura, my intention with those is like, I'm building up my aura. So the toxins in our air, the air where I live is very toxic. The water is very toxic. I don't drink the water that comes from the tap, but our food is toxic. Even if you buy organic produce, it's still toxic. So you can't avoid it, unless you are not eating, not drinking, and not breathing, I suppose.
But at least you can prolong your life, and the quality of your life will be much better. You can realize more things if you have more energy and time out of decreasing of sleep and time.
Yes,
I can endlessly speak of immortality and our possibilities, but at this point, I'm in this position that I know where I'm going. I'm smoothly and gradually going where I'm going, and processing my psyche more. And I don't want to be so fixated on food itself. I just want it to disappear from my reality. I will be perceiving people who are eating like I perceive those who are drinking alcohol, because I don't need it, and I'm indifferent. The best sign that you got rid of your addiction, you don't remember about it. Addiction to a person, if you sincerely forgot about someone, it's not over you anymore. So any addiction is living your life, and you're just free. We cannot get rid of all maybe cravings, addictions. I'm addicted to Kundalini yoga, or I'm addicted to these states of consciousness. It's my drug, because we are here for it to enjoy. But the question is, how many things that you have joy out of which you have joy are destroying you and your body, how harmful they are, and what things bring you not only joy but also health.
Right. Well, and what is true joy? It's like, I can say that I get joy out of eating a pint of ice cream, but is that joy? That's after, what I experienced in these new states of consciousness. I would say that's not joy at all. That's some sort of false pleasure. Right.
It's like instant, very fast pleasure, which have consequences, I would say.
Right.
Because you really can enjoy tastes. After herbal cleansings, the taste a little bit changed, and most cravings are gone. But if my psyche wants to roll back, I rolled back a lot on sweets and so on. They are too sweet, so the perception of taste also changes. And you understand that the taste
the sweet becomes so sweet.
Yeah, you expect the same feelings, maybe even connected to your emotions when you were eating ice cream at your first date with your first love or something. It's I don't know where it goes. It's so super complicated. So the main idea is to be happy as usual.
Yes,
and everyone wants to achieve happiness in their own ways. But I'm not lying to myself anymore. I tried a lot, really. I tried to say, okay, Lisa, you will be eating once a day all your life, okay? I tried. I cannot uncover all my abilities. I want to see what's like beyond my vision, which I have now, because I heard a lot of things, interesting things are waiting for us, but only if you will be in the state. And I was trying to like figure out this. Maybe I need to meditate more, be more in the moment. But after sleep, everything goes away. All my states are going away. I need to, from the scratch, start my day again, review all plans and all ideas, because as I told many times, during sleep, libido energy goes away. I don't want to lose my libido, my Kundalini energy. Kundalini is the power, is the strength of every person, but it's sleeping. We are all sleeping. But when it's awakened, we can do many things. The main idea is to be enough intelligent to use this power properly and not in silly way, I guess. To be in harmony, I would say. To be in harmony with people. I don't want to be like a hermit, like to the degree that I don't need people. I hate society. La, la, la. I don't want this. I want to integrate all this. And one day, who knows, maybe there will be more people like me and will be much easier to communicate and understand each other.
I think it's very courageous. I think it is, because it's, I mean, again, like being as social as I am, I find it difficult. I find it difficult to, I don't know, to give certain things up it's like, it feels isolating to me at times, you know?
I think that if you are in public, you can take any food or drink and support them and make small bites.
Just very small amounts. Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoy the taste.
Right. So
and no one will say your plate is not empty. Eat
right.
Like your grandmother in childhood.
Right, right.
No one will tell you this.
Okay, this is good advice. I'm going to take this.
They won't ever notice because they don't care. They automatically eat, they enjoy, and they don't care you are eating or not.
I guess we assume it's like people are watching us, paying attention.
No, it's
judging us, right?
Paranoia.
Yeah, but it's like only. That's not necessarily the case. So
sure,
yeah, maybe I'm making excuses there,
because there is a fixation. The idea is to get rid smoothly, allowing yourself to eat whatever you want if you still want to eat. Not try it and until it will fall off. It will fall off if we at the same time develop consciousness with practices, concentration of attention in the moment. If it will happen, it will someday. But then to like have a little bit discipline to understand, and if you eat consciously and try to feel body. If body really suffers out of food, then need to process psyche and so on. It's very smooth, gradual process. We cannot get rid of everything at once. We will die and our psyche will go mad.
Right. Smooth, gradual, and yet like for you, is it also like a little bit like this?
Sure. What happens to me closer to 20th day on liquids. It was the longest experience without solid food for me. I think I'm not even evaluating the result because it's not in result. The thing is, like, I tried and I proved myself that I can. That means I can go further.
Now it's in your psyche, it's in your body. That's how I feel. Like, even though I had this rollback, it's like I had that experience. I can get back there more easily now, you know?
Yeah. And to be interested in things, because food, we are discussing food so much as never. Those who are eating are not discussing food, as we know. But it's also okay at first stages, and then it will gradually go away. His idea is you can support any dialogue about food, but it will be indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we are very
no, go ahead.
Luckily, we are creative people. We love many things in life above food, so we can do many things. We can create, so it won't be boring.
It's never boring. Life is never boring. There's so much more to life than they've let us believe. Mm-hmm. But I was going to say, before I forget, I have to name this result that I forgot to name, because I was looking at your face and how beautiful your complexion is, and remembering that before you have like porcelain skin, it's beautiful. But before I started this last marathon, I literally felt like I would look in the mirror and not recognize myself. It was partially I had aged and I had wrinkles, and I mean, I still have some, but my vibrancy was gone. And I really, truly, like, I couldn't recognize myself. And by the time I was on maybe day 20, halfway through, it was like all of that was back. I feel like wrinkles are falling off my face. All of a sudden, people are commenting on how young I look. They can't believe when I say I'm 38 years old. They say, "What are you doing?" And I say, "Oh, I'm working on a process too." I said, "I'm working on reversing the aging process." I said that to someone kind of like as a joke. And she said, haha, I think it's working. Like, I don't know, maybe she thought I got Botox or something.
Yeah.
But
it's easy. It's easier than to raise your consciousness. I agree, but I don't want to use it. I want to rejuvenate mentally. I know it's possible. We can affect our materia when we realize ourselves as an energy itself.
Yes,
really can. I'm also doing some meditations, like magic balls, and like trying to get rid of all inferiorities and like imperfections.
Yep.
Imperfections.
Oh, you're gonna have to teach me that one.
Yeah, I'm doing this. And also maybe after marathon, hormonal system regulated, and that's why we are dependent on hormones. I'm not denying all the processes we have in the physical body, but I would like to research more and explain what really happens. I can only assume that there is like alchemy in our intestines, like the gods is the second brain, and it shouldn't be used like a bucket for trash, but for some other deep processes.
Right.
Each organ we really need, but little bit distorted usage. The purpose of usage is being distorted.
Yeah. Absolutely. What else? What else talk about? I feel like I could talk to you endlessly, but I mean, I know we're over an hour now, so it's up to you if anything else you want to discuss.
I want to say that I hope that each person who will watch this video will understand that we are not out of our mind. We're not speaking of like pink unicorns flying about in the skies. We even not channeling angelic language. Maybe it exists. In my experience, not, but I guess someone can. That it's like it's science and it's our own experience. And maybe
we have empirical data.
Yeah, that we are adequate. We are people who were like everyone. I was eating meat 10 years ago. I was doing things and the same as everyone. But maybe someone needs help to improve health, at least to get rid of suffering, to improve their lifestyle. And when they see that someone reached something, that he also have a belief in himself.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for making to also share your knowledge. Not only me talking about some deprivations and so on, but I want other people to share on my channel, and yeah, to make the information so huge that no one will deny it. Everyone will accept that this is possible.
Yes, absolutely. Highly recommend. Do Lisa's 40-day marathon. It's amazing. I don't think there's anyone else out there doing personalized 40-day marathons. Not that I could find. I feel like it's a really unique offering. So it's definitely, I mean, well worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah, still I want to work in person. I know that personal approach is better than group or some even course. And yeah, from Udemy, they write to me, I want to continue, where to find you. And I said, okay, go to YouTube and 100 videos for free.
Yeah.
You can use. So I'm excited. You are my friend, and I hope we will keep on sharing our
Yes.
weird experience with sleep deprivations. I will call you at night. Holly, are you sleeping?
Please do.
Not to that degree, for sure. We should listen to the body. Sometimes, even if we're super high at some level, when we go without liquids, for instance, dry without food and liquids, at some time, body will feel fatigue, but it's inner process of some rebuilding of systems and restorations of organs, and body says don't move or sleep even. So it's always very subtle when sleep gone, when sleep appears, and it's all intertwined. That's why we are connecting to the body as much as we can on the rug, to not to go astray and not to listen to someone, even me, but to listen to yourself, what you want, what you love in life, and so on.
Well, I'm definitely committed to this journey now. I feel like there's no turning back now. I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning to do my morning sadhana, to do my Korean meditation. This morning I repeated the last one from my 40-day because I loved it so much, the one for intuitive projection. And then this afternoon, I did the one for public speaking, since I knew I'd be speaking to you.
Oh my God.
I love that one. And because, as you know, I'm a public speaker by profession. And so I use it all the time. And when I started using it, I always got good reactions to the presentations I would give. But I started doing that. People would come up and say, oh, can you train our staff? Can you come give presentations over here? So people definitely react to me differently, I find.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean,
it works. It's like ritual, and you do it. And
those one-legged push-ups though, man, those are brutal.
Oh no, I don't like it.
Those are so
I'm always skipping this Korea, like remember.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, I forgot about because the rest of it's fine, but that part is like, I forgot about this part. But it works. It works.
Anyway. Thank you for being sincere and very kind.
You, Lisa.
And I think that if we are sincere, we don't need to hide anything, to say that, okay, I have such experience, I'm a human.
Right. I don't want to sugarcoat, that's why I wanted to talk about rollbacks. It's all part of the journey. Like, I have no regret.
It will happen to anyone, and to make everyone know that it can happen, they will know and perceive it as normal and not like a tragedy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That I didn't want to give into despair, and I wasn't, because I was, again, it's just I still have strong emotions at times, but it's like, I feel kind of like, I don't know if detached is the right word, but I'm able to view them from a perspective of, I don't let anything really drag me down anymore. And I don't get too like wrapped up in a thought pattern either. So I'm more kind of observing, like, that's interesting. Or like, oh, I feel anxious about that. Or, and then I get a new perspective, like, well, maybe I could do this, and I have new ideas because I'm not so kind of like wrapped up in my thoughts and emotions.
Yeah, this is awareness.
Yeah.
True awareness you can get.
So I'm very grateful to you for
I'm
all of
very
your
grateful
teaching
too.
and guidance.
And let's see a reaction. Maybe we can make some other thing in a while. So
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
see. I'm
discuss
sure
our
that things will
journey.
continue to develop and we'll probably talk again.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'll be talking to you regardless, but
Holy Grail. Thank you.
Holy Grail. I love it. So good. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.